Hello and welcome to this Car Pod.
I'm Kenan.
I'm Filippo.
And I have an injury. I fell. It's no big deal. Let's start with the news. Well, people are going to mention it. All right. First news story, big news story this week, the biggest news story of the whole week. The Tesla Model Y has been, what's like the best-selling car on the planet?
It is one of the
Tesla
best-selling
Model Y
car.
has been refreshed. And Tesla has done something that I wish every other automaker should do. Take a page out of Tesla's book. They announced the refreshed Model Y. Do you know when it goes into production?
Now, I assume.
Today.
Well,
Today.
To be fair,
They announced
They
it
went
Monday.
from news to we're doing it.
Toyota GR Corolla, it was announced, and then 25 years later, the GR Corolla was at dealers. And by then, people had already put deposits on whatever the next thing that was announced was.
Yeah,
This
of course,
thing they showed, and then they showed it on Thursday, and on Monday, it was at the factory.
just like the Tesla Roadster.
Go
That is a great
That's a
irony.
great
Here, the upside, of course, that the fact that they're only changing the hood and the front bumper and the rear taillights maybe makes it easier to implement the
They
production.
decided not to change the front taillights this time around.
I
Just the
love
rear.
when people say that. That's one of my great.
The
No, but
rear
you're right.
taillights, yeah.
It's a fairly minor update, although there are more updates,
No.
more significant updates than just that, including they finally put a front camera in this thing, which has been lacking. And
Where?
there's I don't know.
Looks like
There,
that.
yeah.
There's other little stuff. I don't want to speculate too much on exactly what the stuff is because
Wait, no, I will happily speculate.
well, the
You're
US
familiar
market
with the
version hasn't been announced
You're
yet.
familiar with the Model 3 Highland, as people called it?
This is the Juniper.
I know.
Okay.
But you're familiar with the Model
Yeah.
3 Highland. There was a Model 3.
Yeah.
They've lightly facelifted it, added a light bar, added the light bar across the rear. They changed the interior. This will be identical with one change. You know what that changes? This is factual. You know what that changes?
What?
This has turn signals. Stocks.
Yeah, so that's a change. There's also a rear screen. I don't know exactly
That is
what's
true
going
in
to
the
make
Model
it.
3 Highland.
Oh, but versus Model Y.
No,
So
this was
I
the
get
Model
your-
3
I get your point.
plus-
This is
plus a
Model
turn
3
signal stock.
The Model 3 Highland, though, doesn't have a front camera, does it?
Yeah, I think it does, but I don't
I don't
know for
remember.
sure.
I don't remember. But regardless, it's facelifted, it's updated, and it's a
exciting.
big deal, even though people watch this and be like, why are you talking about Tesla? It's so boring. Well, it's one of the most popular cars on
I think
the
it was
planet.
the single best-selling car last year.
Yeah, in some places. Oh, Kenan's not interested.
No, I mean across globally.
I don't know about globally. Maybe. It's up
but
there.
somebody will look it up.
It's
We
up
certainly
there.
can.
It's one of the most popular cars. So we're going to start seeing, soon they're going to start looking like this, and they're going to be around everywhere.
I will say the Model 3, when it was refreshed, finally, got way better. Like you
Yeah.
reviewed it, and the suspension was better, the interior
Yeah.
was better, it was quieter.
Yeah.
There were real improvements.
Yeah.
And I imagine the same is true here.
Nonetheless, the question I think has started to become with Tesla, does a refresh have a significant effect on sales at this point?
Yeah.
Tesla's sales were down last quarter, right? And certainly EVs are slower right now to sell. Adoption has been a little slower. Obviously, a refresh was important for 3 and Y because it's been a while. 3 came out in 18. But where are we on this in terms of, like, is this going to move the needle in terms of sales? I have a suspicion, no. Are people really going to be like, I can't wait to trade in my old one from a new one to get a front camera and this light bar?
Kind of,
Some
though.
will.
I mean, like, there are some that are leased, and that those leases are
Virtually
starting to
nobody
come up.
I know with a Y is like one of those like excited lease turn-in customers. It's like they bought it for necessity. They're not car enthusiasts. They don't
Yeah,
care.
but like it's a little more competitive. It remains competitive.
But
Tesla
the EV
needed
segment
to.
in general is sort of on a bit of a downswing.
Yeah, we can agree that it doesn't.
What's that?
we can agree that it doesn't look.
I like it.
great.
I think it looks fine.
I think the original one is ugly. I think that this one is
This
better.
is but like the original one, like tied the front end and like the middle and the back. Like, it all kind of made sense. This is like the fact that the middle of the car is identical. I'm sure they'll claim that it's not, but like it is. It just doesn't like.
I generally find
Connect.
that all Teslas are the most boring looking
Yeah.
cars. Like if you were going to create a
Yeah,
rendering
the
of like
Cybertruck,
car,
just like every other car.
not the Cybertruck. If you were going to create a rendering of car,
The Tesla Roadster, just like the original one, just like every other car.
the newest one though is.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Model Y refresh. We'll see if it actually measurably does anything for sales. You think it will?
It'll bump them.
Yeah.
I don't think that
it's-
changes market
I don't think
position.
it's a
no.
big change though.
No.
It's not a big change.
It
to the
was
car.
necessary. It was
It
getting
does stay
stale,
competitive.
and that's what it needed.
Next news story is even better than this. On the subject of EVs, Chrysler had announced some EV or teased it, or apparently they showed it at a
The airflow.
damn auto show. It was called the Airflow, which was the name of a car they had in the 50s that also failed. And
those
this has
haven't
failed because Chrysler has clandestinely apparently halted. They've sent a note to their suppliers saying that they want suppliers to stop working on this vehicle, which suggests to me that they will probably not manufacture the car.
But like, if you as Chrysler, which currently sells one vehicle, the Pacifica, if you are telling your suppliers and presumably internally saying, if you're not going to build a mid-size electric SUV that everybody else wants, what are you building?
I think that Chrysler got really burned with the whole Charger EV, like the switch from gas-powered to electric. And I think that Chrysler was already on the fence about making that switch. I think they see political headwinds against EVs. I think they see the market starting to turn away from EVs. And I think Chrysler is trying to get ahead of this and say, we're not going to do this. We're not going to go down the same road the Blazer and the Prologue are going down, where the leases are subsidized to a 50%.
Sell well, though.
Yeah, but of course they sell well. The lease is a cell phone payment with nothing down.
Yeah.
I mean, I could make a car sell well if I offered it to you for $1 a year.
I wouldn't buy a car that you made for $1 a year.
Wisely.
But like, I think there's two things that are concerning here. One is, you're probably right. They're seeing, okay, there's a pushback against this. This is a U.S. market only car, frankly. They don't have a presence anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, but I mean,
which matters though.
the Chevy Volt was sold as the Opel Ampera overseas.
Chrysler doesn't have a brand overseas. Obviously, FCA does,
AMG.
but not for midsize SUV. But what I'm confused by is, how are you as a brand not like so far behind still that you can realistically say, nah, don't keep working on it?
I would argue, based on this looks production ready, and I would argue they probably weren't. Right. I would argue this car was probably 6 months from production, and they were probably planning the press launch and configuring the trim levels, and still we're like, we're done. And I honestly,
at that point, just release. You're not selling anything. You don't have a car. You don't have an SUV in your lineup.
Is Chevy making money on the Blazer? Is Honda making money on the Prologue? At the end of the day, the automakers are sitting here thinking, we want to make money. Just because they don't have a vehicle in the segment. Have a vehicle segment, lose money. Have no vehicle in the segment, at least they're flat. Now, granted, there's probably been some development dollars spent here, but maybe they amortize that because Jeep is going to have some sort of electric thing. Maybe it's the same kind of deal.
They do, the Wagoneer, or the whatever it's called.
Never seen one.
The
Don't
Wagoneer
really know
S.
much
I'm
about
so
it.
sorry. Not the Wagoneer, the Wagoneer S. My apologies. I get it. It's a sign certainly where the EV market is, but also at the same time, it could be Chrysler being Chrysler.
It could be, but it's I know. I think Chrysler was severely burned on the Charger thing. I think that basically Chrysler was told by government incentives,
have a Charger EV for the
by
record.
government incentives and everybody else. Chrysler was told, you got to get rid of this old car, the Charger Challenger. So they did. They switched to an electric-y thing. Everybody hated it. Everybody's criticizing it.
It's being
And now
criticized.
Chrysler's like, we're out. EVs are done. Trump's president now. We're done. We're out.
Yeah,
Dodge
maybe.
Ram pickup truck.
Maybe, but you gotta either just give up on the brand or build something.
Well, they don't need to give up on the brand because they sell them all at the same dealer. It actually works out okay.
That is true.
You know what Kennan's least favorite part about the cancellation of this car is? The thing that makes him the saddest? You lose what appears to be a hexagon steering wheel.
Oh, that is so sad.
This thing has a hexagon steering wheel, and Kennan was excited to be turning it.
And those mirrors look like M3 comp mirrors.
No.
E92 M3, don't you think?
They had the thing with the M mirrors since the E9X M3 was
I
that they
bring it
have
back for
two.
you.
Yeah.
They detach it.
All right,
two,
fine.
not two
Not
stocks.
just
They
one,
attach the car,
fine.
not just one.
All right.
This I can see this. This is on the car. That's not, or this is inside the car. I can kind of see why you think it, but it's the picture. That's not.
I don't know. It's an
not a loss
interesting
to me.
It's an interesting story because GM went full bore with this. They released the Blazer EV. They released the Equinox EV. Neither are doing particularly well.
They're doing really well. The Equinox EV is selling.
Only if you're looking at sales numbers. I'm looking at subsidies. I'm a profit guy. The sales numbers to me are meaningless unless we're talking about how much the automaker is making money.
We should soon have GM's end of year financials, and we can look at what that looked like. But I don't think they're necessarily losing money on everyone.
They're subsidizing the leases on a brand new car that took an enormous amount of development to an unbelievable level.
But development that they've shared across the Honda Prologue, the Blazer EV, and
None of which
now
are
the
selling.
Equinox
What
EV.
can I release?
The Equinox EV is selling really well.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, I should say it is leasing really well.
All right. Equinox EV lease deal.
Yeah, no, it's attractive.
169.
No, it's attractive.
169.
With like zero down. It's attractive.
Filippo, of course it's selling well.
But it's bringing people into the Chevy brand that otherwise were certainly not going to be there. Any people.
This is a $50,000 car that's leasing at 169.
Well, it turns out it's actually like a $23,000 car that's leasing.
And you're going to come over here and this is unbelievable. And you're going to come over here and tell me that this car is leasing well?
Well, I suspect they have some residuals that
Here's
might prove
someone
to
on
not be
Reddit
true.
who's claiming they took advantage of a $5,000 rebate and got the monthly lease payment to $65 a month on an Equinox EV 2LT
They put the money down.
for a $44,000 sticker.
Wow, not bad.
Here's
by the
a
way,
guy who's saying he did a $2,500 one pay. He's got a 24-month lease.
oh, what a dream.
These cars are not selling.
Given that it just, I'm willing to believe that
Chrysler's making a good decision.
You spat on me.
We'll see where this goes.
You don't think Chrysler's making a good decision?
I think it's rare that Chrysler makes a good decision.
That is true. History has shown that.
The market is not here for these cars.
I don't know if that's true because there are clearly buyers. Not maybe at the price they want, but there are clearly buyers. The Model Y, as we said, which is at the same price point, is one of the best-selling cars in the world. So there is a market for these cars. Tesla is profitable.
Yeah, but how do they compete with that? You're going to buy a Chrysler?
You build a better car.
Let's be
Turns
honest.
out you compete by building a better car. And Chrysler does, like, these people.
No one's been able to do it.
They have bad brand equity to fight against to do that. It's an
No
uphill
one's been able
battle
to build a better
to
car.
go for.
Tesla has the charging network. Tesla,
Which is open to other people
The
now.
brand equity,
You
they
should
have
see
everything.
the app. It's got a picture of a car.
Whoa. My goodness.
Imagine Chrysler
got a picture
making
of a
an app
car.
for this thing. It would crash your phone every time you opened it. Like,
Well, there are some concerns about that. I just given the amount of work they put into this and the fact they don't have any other products, and they claim,
dude, there's people out here saying they get a $3,000 one pay. They're paying $124 a month
and
for an Equinox EV.
it seems like a great deal that GM is happy to have them in the door for.
You think Chrysler's sitting here eager to finish putting this car together so they can release it for $84 a month on a one pay?
Doesn't help my point, but incentives on new chargers are wild.
What are they?
I saw an article recently that had $12,000 just off the bat. The car came out yesterday. Like not including tax credit, just that dealer wanted to get rid of that their new chargers so badly or challenged.
Because those cars aren't tax incentive. What's out?
aren't.
I don't even know what's out yet.
One of them. Nobody knows. Nobody's looked.
Nobody's paid much attention to it. New Dodge Charger incentive. Someone is saying, 23 Chargers are way off. I'm curious to see.
There was an article recently.
The point is, I think Chrysler's making a good decision.
Can we move to the next story where we're talking about more EVs? All right,
More
here's
EVs.
a company here's a situation where Volkswagen has said, no, there is a market we can enter and make money like Tesla has. And Rivian has had good sales without huge incentives. They're struggling financially for other reasons. There is a market. They released a Scout brand.
Yep.
That isn't out yet, but will be out in a year.
Yep.
There's two. There's the pickup truck and the SUV. SUV is made about 70% of reservations.
Which makes total sense
Yeah, of
and still makes us wonder why Rivian released the truck first. But anyway, continue.
But what's really interesting is they're offering it in what they call the Harvester trim that has one of Volkswagen's engines behind the rear axle.
One of Volkswagen's gasoline engines. I didn't know about this. There is a range-extending gasoline engine. Does not power the wheels, supposedly.
Yeah.
It just acts as a generator for the EV drivetrain.
And you can imagine it just running in the background, charging up the battery without any notable load. Should be really efficient.
Could I never plug it in?
Yeah, I think so.
Probably, right?
Yeah. I don't know that you'd want to. I don't think it's the most efficient way to power it.
Well,
but sure.
It's a giant SUV with a 1.5 liter two-cylinder.
We don't know the engine.
Well, I
the front
assume-
or two-cylinder.
I don't know. It's going to be
we don't
something
know the
like
engine.
that.
It'll be one of Volkswagen's smallest engines. But what's interesting is that they have said publicly that over 50% of their pre-orders are for the Harvester trim.
Which further
interesting.
proves the point I was just making, doesn't it? People still want to put gasoline in their cars.
They want people to go further, but it makes a lot of sense for the Scout brand. Like, this is why it makes sense for them to have done this. You want people to go off-roading, have an EV, that's great for their daily life, and then
It is
can go a little further.
interesting. It makes you wonder, does this kind of come in and eat Rivian's lunch? They offer a gassy version. It's not fully gassy, but it's gassable.
it's gassable. It's a little gassy.
Like, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is. Legitimately. It
And more
changes
than
the use
half
case.
of people are ordering it. That says a lot.
Yeah. Well, pre-ordering it, putting a
Yeah,
$200
but
down or whatever.
pre-orders for a car like this often turn into orders. For the Chrysler Airflow, of which there were 2 pre-orders, both of which were Chrysler employees, nieces
Giles.
and nephews.
Right.
That's not a thing. But these are actually interested people who are going to get one.
It's interesting to see that there is demand for that. I wonder if other brands will. Nobody in the U.S. market has a range extender.
Right.
i3 excluded, BMW i3 excluded, and the Volt.
There's no way that car's still on sale.
No.
Nope, hasn't been for a really long time.
I'm trying to bring Kenan back in here slowly.
We're fully into the swing of the new year, and it's been warm and sunny here in San Diego. One of my New Year's resolutions has been to drive my fun sports cars every single day. But when you combine the excitement of a Lamborghini Countach with our warm weather, choosing the best deodorant is a necessity. That's where our sponsor, Mando, comes in. Mando is a full-body deodorant clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. Mando comes in the spray and stick variety, and it's always baking soda-free and paraben-free. I've been using Mando, and it's been wonderful to smell better after long days in parking lots shooting all of the quirks and features. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code CARS at shopmando.com. shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. This is a cool vehicle.
No, I agree. This is cool, and it makes sense. Like the whole point of this brand, to bring back the international names that are these cars, which were rugged, is that you're going to take it off road, and realistically, you just can't do it with an EV. Where are you going to charge? And look at this. You think there's a charging station around here?
Rivian actually built one at the top of that hill. Probably.
No, Tesla did. Rivian is using it for a significant amount per month.
So you need if in the real, not that this is the real world, but if you're going to use it the way they intend it to, you need to be able to have the car charge itself with a generator.
Are we seeing the beginning of a switch away from electric cars after all this EV?
It turns out Fisker was right. The Fisker Karma was the right idea. Have a generator that charges
I remember when those cars all came out, the Karma, the Volt, etc., and the Leaf, when they all came out in 2010, 11, 12, there was a lot of talk about what it really is the future. Is it full electric like the Leaf, or is it this plug-in hybrid like the Volt? Chevy gambled on the plug-in hybrid thing with the Volt. Obviously, Nissan went with the full electric. The market sort of more went full electric, but there's always been a lot of talk about plug-in hybrids are the best of all worlds.
Yeah.
Maybe plug-in hybrids are the best of all worlds.
Toyota's gone big on it. The RAV4 Prime, which is a plug-in, the Prius Prime.
Toyota never really went to EVs. They only ever did the plug-in hybrids. The new BMW M5, by combining both a gasoline engine and an electric powertrain, they were able to make it weigh less than a mid-size fishing vessel.
Yacht, yeah.
Just.
It's a small planetary body. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the drawback.
It is interesting to see what
you can't have everything.
It's a lot of stuff to package inside of a vehicle, but that's interesting to me.
It is.
And it's something that Rivian doesn't have.
And never
it's
will.
probably something that's appealing to, and never will. And it's probably something that's appealing to a lot of people, particularly the type of truck people who think this is cool, but aren't ready to commit to full EV.
Maybe the news story here is that not them, almost 50% of people want the full EV. Maybe that's more newsworthy.
Yeah, but Rivian's already told us that there's a huge number of people in this segment who want a full EV.
So
now we're finding out there's actually a huge number of people who would prefer to have a plug-in hybrid help their EV be powered along. It's very interesting to me.
Indeed. Good news, Kenan.
Another EV story.
Oh my God.
Kenan, this is actually worse than a regular EV story. Yeah. Buckle up.
I'm going to take a nap.
No. This is one you want to hear.
You're familiar with the Acura RSX.
It's pronounced Acura.
It's the small 2-door hatchback. They haven't had it in a while, but great 6-speed manual.
Yes, familiar.
Yeah.
Type
that
S.
has
Sweet car.
Very sweet
in
car.
Canada, they did it with hubcaps.
Wow. Well, here for your enjoyment is the new Acura RSX.
Yeah. The RSX has returned, and much like the Mitsubishi Eclipse,
this is the Mitsubishi Eclipsification of the
RSX is returning as an electric crossover.
I like turning that into a verb.
Yep. It's based on the Honda theoretically based on the Honda Zero series that we talked about last week.
I am surprised. I have to admit, I'm surprised. When you said there's a new RSX, which was announced this morning, when you said there was a new RSX, I assumed it would be based on the new Prelude.
Dude, that would make a lot of sense.
Because that's going to be like a small Honda coupe, so I figured the RSX, which was always sort of Prelude-y, would be the Acura version. No, it's going to be an electric crossover.
And production will kick off later this year in Ohio.
And no one will buy one.
It's January 1st. Tesla gets a car to market tomorrow.
Yeah, that is the way. That's like Apple when they released the iPhone. It's like pre-order start Friday. Yeah, it's like boom. It's
a huge deal. Automakers claim they can't do it because of suppliers and this and that.
No, they can't.
But getting people excited about Scout, for example, and then telling us it's not going to be on sale till 27, it's BS. It doesn't help anybody do anything. You get all excited and then you forget about it, and then something else shiny comes up and you forget about your pre-order and you're not interested anymore, and suddenly they're cutting Cybertruck shifts at the plant.
What is the benefit of that? Is it just hype for the brand?
I think that they feel that they cannot control the story because eventually it'll leak, because so many people are aware of what it's going to look like when you think about all the suppliers and all the internal people, et cetera, et cetera. And so they would rather control the story when they announce it on their terms with the pictures they want, rather than somebody sees it in some back parking lot and that's the only picture circulating.
But Yeah, and then it just
But
becomes boring, and who
It
cares?
becomes boring. By the time, I promise you, by the time Scout comes out, we're going to be bored of it. I promise you.
I'm gonna
I
be
just
honest.
think
But,
back,
well, whatever.
I just think back to the NSX, the new one that you love so much. I mean, that was teased for like 5-6 years, something. It was something crazy. Or Mercedes AMG Project One, the same thing. I mean, whatever.
You know what? I'm going back on my love of the new NSX. Should have had a manual.
The good news, by the way, is that
Of course.
nobody's excited about this car to start with, and nobody will care.
That's true. It's not like people are eagerly awaiting the
No
arrival of
offense
this car.
to-
And the great irony, of course, is that the Acura ZDX, which I presume is larger,
Yes. And it's prologue based.
right, is already out and is not selling. And
Yeah.
so here they're coming out with a second one. They say, we're not selling the first one. I got an idea.
Yep. I just saw
Let's
sales
do
figures.
more.
Maybe they should have listened to Chrysler.
Hey,
Yeah.
not
the
done it.
ZDX has sold 7,400 units in 2024,
It sold 7,424.
which really means Q4 because it came out in the fall. That's not bad.
7,400 units. What are ZDX leases at?
Oh, they are attractive, and the ZDX is a good looking. automobile.
$299 is
The
the
ZDX
first thing that comes
is
up.
a good looking automobile.
That's got to be a 65 car for
the
$299.
ZDX is a good looking
You
automobile.
could buy for 0% for 75.
To be clear, we're not talking about the first generation ZDX, which is cool but not a good looking
It
automobile.
was a good looking car. The first gen ZDX previewed all future EVs.
It did. I agree, but it was not a good looking car.
The first gen ZDX and the
Pull it
Tesla
up,
Model
please, Ken.
Y look the same. I bet we've sold one. Type in ZDX 2R.
I don't
2R.
think we
Give me a
have.
year or 2R.
unfortunately.
No, just type in to the cars and bids. To the
Have
the
we
old-
sold one?
to the cars and bids.
2R is apparently not. Just go for like 2012. I don't know. Nobody knows when it was around. Yeah.
That
Look at that beak.
that is the Tesla Model Y.
God, I forgot how ugly.
People complain so much about how this car
doesn't-
looked, and then every EV that came out since then has taken this
is
exact
not
design.
An attractive
The
automobile.
Mach E is this car.
the handles are in the same spot.
I'm telling you, yeah, that's true. You cannot tell me this is not what the Mach E,
No,
the
no,
Model
it is.
Y.
But execution matters.
I always felt like it was just a swept back TL that was like melting and just slowly getting bigger.
Execution matters.
It's not nice.
And, well,
I think they executed it perfectly. They were just early and with a gas engine instead of an electric, which is what it should have been.
Ugh.
You know, this had a 3700 in it. That's what we in the Acura community call it.
did it ever have 37?
I
It wasn't
think
just
it
a
did.
3.5. It was 3.5.
Well, but that Gen MDX used a 3.7.
I know, but I don't remember if the ZDX was updated.
Well, come on.
Nobody bought
no,
them.
No, it was
Nobody
that
knows.
era. The MDX came out in 07 in that era, and the
Yeah.
ZDX came out in 09.
But the 3.7 was partway through that MDX generation.
No!
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Keep going. Let's move
totally
on for
wrong.
Kenan's sake.
Pull this up.
Thank God we get to sports cars. All right, good news for sports cars. So Porsche recently released their sales figures for 2024.
Yeah.
And some interesting things in there. I'm going to start with the non-sports cars and just talk about that a little bit. Taycan sales volume went down.
How? They didn't sell any in 2023.
down. So they went down, they decreased 37.3%. They sold 4,747 units last year versus
right, so they went down like
7,700.
The
1,000
theme
units.
of this
2,000
news
units.
section is that EV sales are not doing so hot.
Right.
Speaking of, by the way, EV sales.
Oh, well, hold on. I'll get there. Hold your horses. So Panamera sales also down.
Yeah.
Macan sales also down. Cayenne sales
Okay,
up.
to be fair,
1957
Macan had been
units.
out in the same exact form for 10 years.
I agree.
There is a brand new one though.
But then
They didn't
we
deliver
get
any
to the
2024.
sports.
There's a brand new
They
electric one,
didn't deliver any in 2024.
and
to be
sales
honest.
are still down.
But then we get to the sports cars. The 911 sold 14,128 units in the US. That's 4,436 over 2023. So sales are up with the 911.
20%, 21.
That's a big number.
It's a big number. And the 718 Boxster and Cayman, despite the fact they're going to kill it in October, they said that they were up 1,172 units over 2023. They sold 5,698 of them versus 4,400.
25%.
That's also a 20%.
25.9%. Yeah.
Wow.
up. So it's clear that Porsche, who makes
Now-
great sports cars, that's what people want.
The 992.2 is responsible for some of this because
Wasn't really out.
just
though.
barely out,
Just
right?
barely out.
Not
Yeah,
anymore.
barely out. But I mean,
Not
GT3
into that one,
sales
fair.
are strong.
Okay.
Like, people want.
Here's the
Sports
question:
cars.
How the hell does this company come out with an electric Boxster and Cayman?
I know. They must be thinking, it's no wonder they push it back. They're like, are we sure you
They're not
wanna
ready to.
do
They
this?
apparently they're comfortable letting a Macan sit for 10 years, but I don't think they do that for.
It is
these.
interesting that Macan EV has come out parallel to Macan
I
Gas.
started to see more Macan EVs.
Same. And by the way, I had a Macan EV. I'm going to have a review up in a couple of weeks, but I drove it. It was great.
It's great.
However,
Sure.
it's still a very expensive electric car.
And not enough range.
I will say
niche.
the Taycan and the Macan, perfect candidates for EV conversion. I mean, they're cars you drive around. I hate to say it, but the Macan is not the special car. Like the going to electric. It's not like anybody's gonna be like, oh, but the sound of the old turbo 4-cylinder is,
Right.
Well,
No.
it's a utility. These are experiential fun cars. Nobody needs a sports car. People want and desire a sports car. And people with money want a Porsche, and they want a driving experience, which is further emphasized by the sales figures on their best sports cars.
It's also interesting.
clear.
We talked last week about how Mustang sales are down. The Camaro's gone. Supra sales are down. Maybe the bottom part of the market doesn't have disposable income, but clearly the wealthier buyers are still buying sports cars. It's not that two-door coupes are dead. It's that cheaper ones are. Those people can't afford them anymore. But 911 buyers doing what?
Long
Doing great.
live the sports car.
Long live the gas-powered
Powered sports
manual
car.
transmission, rear-wheel drive sports car.
Like the Nissan Z.
What an unbelievable news segment. When we started this pod, which was about a year ago, I would never have guessed that in a year we'd be talking about how EVs are getting canceled before even going into production, and that gasoline-powered sports
Chrysler,
cars
we're
are
not
up.
drawing any takeaways from this.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something. Chevy should have canceled their EVs before they went into
I
production.
love the Equinox. What other car can you
You
lease
know
for
what? You're
$84
right.
a month?
You're right. The dude on Reddit who got a one-pay lease for $1,500 for 2 years and is paying an effective $81 a
Don't
month.
you want that? I want that.
Yeah, but the point is the car is not sellable at its actual price. At $81 a month, that's like a $13,000 car. But it's got a 50 sticker.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Porsches, these aren't selling for $40,000 off, I'll tell you that.
Nope.
Look, I speak, I believe on behalf of all car enthusiasts when I say let the EVs burn, let them suffer.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. All right.
By the way, every 07 to 13 MDX had the 3700,
Really?
as did the ZDX. Give me an apology. Move on to the
the
next story.
07 MDX has a 3.7?
Yeah.
I really thought it came out as part of the facelift.
No. You got to know your MDXs. The original first gen MDX, 01 to 06, that was all the 3500. And then it was 01 to 06. And then in 07, the 3700 came out concurrently with the beak nose MDX.
Can I give you a fun fact? That
Yep.
3.7, not used in a Honda product.
Yeah, because
Only Acura.
it never went into the
Pilot or the Odyssey.
Yeah, that's true.
Or the V6.
Honda was afraid it would keep luncheon transmissions. If they went up any more power, they'd be like, I don't know.
Well, but when you're Honda and Acura, you got to differentiate somehow, and 0.2 liters is how you do it.
Okay. The next segment is the Talk Cars segment, and I have a PSA.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. The PSA is this.
Let's hear it.
Toyota, as a lot of people know, Toyota recalled some of the turbocharged engines in the Tundras, the Sequoias, etc.
Sure.
You know about this? They're
Yeah,
replacing
from months ago.
engines.
Yeah.
This was months ago. The hybrids were not affected. The hybrids were not affected. The Tundra and Sequoia engine recall to replace bad engines did not affect the hybrids. The hybrids were not part of the recall. Filippo,
Wait, is
let
there
me
still
ask
a
you this.
Sequoia trim that's not non-hybrid?
Let me ask you this. In the V6 that was recalled, were any of the hybrids recalled? No. It is unbelievable the amount of misinformation.
listening.
This has to be the top misinformation of any automotive industry thing right now. It is. You go online all over Reddit and the Toyota forums, people are like, these hybrid engines suck. They're all getting recalled. None of them have been recalled. Zero. There is a hybrid version and a non-hybrid version. The non-hybrid version was lunching itself.
I love that lunching has appeared twice in your vernacular recently. I love that.
The hybrid version is apparently totally fine.
That's nice.
How much
I
time
get
do you
asked this every single day about my Sequoia. Oh, is yours one of the recalled ones? No, because it's a hybrid, and it wasn't. And the hybrids aren't recalled. The hybrids weren't recalled. Yeah, they weren't. No, they weren't.
I feel like
Yes.
this is just a conversation you've had with one of your neighbors that you just brought
Everybody.
to
No, what the problem is this: with this generation of Toyota truck, they've switched away from a V8 to a V6, turbo V6.
Shame.
And so there's a desire among enthusiasts to heap any amount of hate they can on this motor, but specifically the hybrid version, because the only thing worse than a turbo V6 is a hybrid turbo. That's for the soy boy liberals. So anyway, so there's a lot of hate. Like, it's getting a ton of hate, and there's so much. The hybrids were not recalled. Filippo, were any hybrids recalled?
Not yet.
Felipe,
Not yet is the right way to say it.
Toyota's having some trouble with engines, though.
Yeah.
And transmissions. Isn't that the issue with the new Tacomas?
The Tacomas are having transmission problems?
The new Tacomas are having
Not the
some
manuals
issue.
like I drove.
Hey, there you go.
That's right.
I'm glad that your Sequoia is not recalled because you would never bring it in for the recall, and therefore it would eventually be. So I'm
Mine
happy
actually
for you that
is
it's
subject to a recall right now for the rear tow hitch cover. Have I ever told this story?
No.
The rear tow hitch cover was recalled because it keeps falling off like if you look at it.
not. Didn't that happen to you?
So I'm
not
driving
on.
through Texas, and I get to a gas station, and I look at the back, and the tow hitch cover is gone. And then like the next day I get an email being like, we have a recall for the tow hitch cover.
Well, there
It's
you
like,
go.
well, mine's
Are you going to replace it?
Gone with the
somewhere in
wind.
North Texas. They don't have a fix yet.
That's like the time when my Ford Focus's door latch stopped working. There was a recall for it. We got a fix on the recall, but we had to drive there holding the door shut.
Oh, it wouldn't stay closed.
Yep.
I
Just
remember
like
when I worked
Stradman's
for Enterprise.
Aventador.
When I worked for Enterprise, the Dodge Avenger interior door handles stopped working. That was a recall.
That's
and that is a
unfortunate.
dangerous recall.
Yep.
And that was Chrysler in 2008. And I remember like we'd take all the cars to the dealer to get the recall done, and you'd have to either roll down the window and like reach out.
we've been really
ghetto stuff. These were brand new cars.
We've been we've been really mean to Chrysler. We should be clear. This is a Dodge product.
That was a Dodge product. It didn't affect the similarly made Chrysler 200s.
No.
Those were excellent cars.
Different door handle.
Evos, basically.
Oh, the
forgot
S.
that you asserted.
The 3.6 liter Pentastar.
The hybrids were not recalled. Filippo, give us the real talk car segment of the week.
Yes.
I have won a car on Cars and Bids. I will be flying to Seattle when people are listening to this podcast to then drive it home.
So we gave Filippo crap for 6 months because the first 10
Entire life.
episodes of this pod, he was like, what if I get this car? What if I get that car? And after 10, 15 episodes, it became clear he was not going to be getting a car.
That's correct. We're in
Yeah.
40-something now.
We told him never to talk to us again until he gets a car. And then this is how this happened. One day, he just sends, we have like a group text thread. He then sends a picture saying, bought a car. It shows the picture that he won it on the site. He was on a conference call, like a meeting.
Yeah,
on Zoom.
I have those.
I was.
He was bidding on the meeting.
We sit in
we
cars.
we got an app.
We sit in cars at Cars and Bids to take meetings, and Sean, our producer, just looked at me. He goes, with this shocked look at us. He goes, "Filippo bought a car," and I look at Filippo through the windscreen. And he's just
I was in a meeting.
Yep, he was in a meeting. Yeah, no expression, no
great.
emotion, no nothing. You were just like, you bought a car.
I would like to
Walk
not
us through
say
what
what
happened.
car it is and let people find it on their own.
Acura.
It was not
You
Acura.
type Filippo into Cars and Bids, you'll find it.
We'll talk about it more next week when I have the car in my possession.
Okay, the
Here.
car Filippo bought. No, we got to talk about it because people can see on the site.
I bought a right. I wanted to
Filippo
go to the
bought
site.
a Mark.
Oh,
go to the
come
car.
on.
Use
Oh,
the app.
God.
Go to the
Oh
option.
my.
Filippo
God.
bought a GTI Volkswagen Golf. Oh wow,
Oh, thank you, Kenan.
Golf GTI.
Yeah. Here's what happened. Every week, Kenan and I do a live now, which is on the Cars and Bids YouTube channel, where we talk about cars that are live that we're interested in.
Yep.
For that live now, I was looking through our site and I saw this. And I thought, oh, a no reserve Mark 8. I wonder where the market is for these. And then I started looking more closely at this one. And it turns out that the base trim GTI fits my desires very well.
All right, pull up interior and tell us about the
All
climate
right.
control
So
thing.
love the Clark plaid.
Yep.
My wife, a little bit less into it, but she's
We'll
very
get there. We'll get her
generous
there.
and kind.
She said it looked like a Catholic schoolgirl uniform.
Yes, she did.
That's the
That
benefit.
is a real quote.
That is why people like it.
But the base trim GTI is really well spec'd because I care about sportiness and having fun. It has a good seats, has a 6-speed manual, also has adaptive cruise control and blind spot and heated seats and a heated steering wheel.
But the best part is,
It has a volume knob,
so
which I
the
don't
big
care.
complaint about the latest GTI is that there's the slider for the volume and for the climate control, which by the way works fantastically. And everybody who's complaining about it is not particularly bright.
Yeah,
They
but
don't know how to
I
slide
have a
their
knob.
finger. But if you don't want it, all you have to do is get the base model, and
Yep.
then you actually still get the climate
And
knob.
the
We've
worst-
discovered this.
You know the worst part though? I hate Volkswagen volume knobs because the volume
the
symbol
volume
turns.
circle
Thank you.
turns.
And I
was
forgot
just
about
going to
that
say
till right till this very
The
moment.
volume circle
Oh,
turns.
it's infuriating. Design. It's unbelievable. That's still an issue.
But I'm incredibly excited. We're going to drive home from Seattle over this weekend. The seller has been fantastic. I'm sure she will not mind me saying this. She had a Mark IV GTI, upgraded to this, decided it was too techie for her, and went out and bought a Mark IV R32 in blue,
wow.
Which
Cool
is a really
taste.
special.
which is a really special car. So she has a cooler garage than I
Filippo,
do.
I have
but
to say something
I'm excited.
to you.
Yeah.
You were talking about a 997. You were talking about a C6. You were talking about importing a Multipla, and
Yep.
then you ended up switching your hot hatch for like a more grown-up version of your
Yeah.
hot hatch.
Yeah.
We were hoping that you would come into the. You've been talking about a Corvette for years. You're in an age where you can have a Corvette before you have children.
Filippo.
Well,
This was an opportunity.
I want to make something really clear. This has exactly as much torque as a 997 base.
Filippo, we want you to live.
And I am living high. The high
I
life.
will say this.
This is 9 years newer than my current newest car.
I will say
But
this.
around-
I have significant regrets, legitimately, about not having more sports cars before I had kids. When I was younger, I thought AMG wagons and wagons were cool, and I had a CTSV wagon, an AMG wagon, and in retrospect, I think it was stupid that I was driving
it
around
was.
in four-door practical cars.
For you who will regret this, yes, I will not regret this.
You're not going to regret not having a C6. I'm proud. I'm happy that you bought this car. I'm happy you bought a car.
Yes.
Thank you.
You finally stepped up. I'm happy you bought this car. I wish you would live. I wish you would just
I got
sink your
Clark's
teeth
plan.
into life. What's going to happen to the 500 Abarth?
I almost certainly we will be selling it. My wife and I are not yet in agreement of what we're doing with it, but I think we'll likely sell it. So you might see it on Cars and Bids soon.
Cars and Bits. And Ken will clean it.
He
I'd like
has
to
kindly
paint
offered.
correct it. I'd like to do the whole thing.
Now I did clean it on Saturday, so I don't know what more would be
Well, like-
necessary. but
like I said, I will clean it.
Cleaned it on Saturday. He cleaned it on Saturday with a rusty nail and a barbed wire fence.
Some hopes and dreams. Yeah, it was. He had. Yeah.
But I am incredibly excited. You guys will see a GTI on the Cars and Bits channel video soon, like very soon.
I'm excited for you to get it. I am proud of you for having bought a car.
But you guys
doff
are
my
both
hat.
so
Disappointed in the
incredibly
car you bought.
disappointed, and I find that
I'm not
incredibly
disappointed
amusing.
because I like the Mark 8. I had one as a press car. I think it's a great car.
Yeah.
I just instead of you always making the practical choice, which you have made the
But I
entire time
love
I've known you.
practical choices.
I've known you for 15 years, and
I
you've
love
always
practical choices.
all I want is for you to make the fun choice once. I want you to have fun.
Yeah, I didn't buy a base Golf. Primarily because it's not for sale in the
You
U.S.
need
and
to
market.
go
but-
back and watch your Cars and Biz video you
I
did
know, I
with the
love the
Corvette.
Corvette.
You were having such
I
a great
will
time.
have
That
other
could
cars.
be you. That could be you.
Maybe I'll sell the wagon and the Barth and then buy a C7.
No, you won't.
Nope.
You're
No
going.
chance.
And then,
So now he's got.
But imagine this is what he thinks is fun when he does have kids. Imagine what
Lord.
boring practical car he'll have then.
Between Filippo has no children or anything. Two him and his wife, two people. He's got between them. He's got 8 doors, plus the hatchbacks.
11 seats.
11
Tw-
seats.
12 seats. Sorry, 12 seats.
He once
We're
told me
good.
he needed a car to transport 7 people all the time. I'm
We
like,
have
you and
people
your wife and your dog.
in our
That's
car
all-
often. I don't understand what the
I
title.
know, but that's one car.
That's a rental car you have a couple weekends a year. You're
Or
just
one vehicle that you have. You have for a second car. You had the chance to sink your teeth into something. You could have had a ZR1.
I am who I am.
I know, and that's just the truth.
That's who I am. And
you know what?
I'm 100% a GTI guy more than I'm a Barth guy.
know
I've had
what?
that car for 2 years.
I agree with that. That is true. You are more a GTI guy. In our comments, there are people who identify with you.
Yeah.
Who are like, I am Filippo. You guys shouldn't make so much fun of him for being the practical, cheap, smart choice guy. It's who he is. It's who I am. And it's like, you know what? Fine.
That's great. Good for you. Life is for living. That's what
You have a
that's what I say. So,
4-door sedan.
yes,
Yeah.
I have a 4. Yes, with
twice the
individual
horsepower,
throttaways, double
twice
the
the
horsepower.
cylinders. Less of this thing.
I will still
say,
walk away
by the
from
way,
you on the highway.
How much power does this have?
241 and 273 pound-feet of torque.
I will dust
Wait,
you.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
think M5's faster than this?
Absolutely. Plus, he's driving it. He doesn't rev
the
over
DSG
3,000.
GTI might be equivalently fast, but the M5 is faster.
What's the 0 to 60 in the M5?
4.7.
Yeah, by a second or two, second and a half.
Second or 2.
It's not close. Yeah.
Yeah, not exactly.
but
Hell yeah,
my-
double the cylinder
my
count.
torque
I
stat-
bet you though. I bet I could get it. Keep up.
I'll bet
I'm
you could.
pretty confident in my torque
bet
stat.
you could.
Okay, there you go. Filippo bought a car. Congratulations to
Yes,
Filippo.
bravo, Filippo. We can't wait to see it in person.
Filippo-
Also, the pictures got to get to look
Literally
lovely.
the same torque figure as a 997 cap. 997.
That's not a base 997.
Okay.
That's what I was
Base
considering.
911
I
from
got more
20
than that
years
same
ago.
torque.
Pull up the. We're going to talk more about GTI next week when you get it and bring
Yeah.
it down here. We're going to have it in the background. We're going to do a whole
Well,
thing. I'll
over the
lick it.
Countach's?
I'm going to lick it
Please
on
don't.
camera.
Please don't.
Oh, he's done that to my M5. It's very irritating. I have to
Can you
clean it
pull up
immediately.
the last slide here for us? Please?
Oh, yes.
I'm at the market the other day, and
Back to kings.
and let me tell you what happened. Okay, this is an honest to God story. I'm at the market the other day, and the Hot Wheels are there, and they're $3 each. Okay, and I wanted
What?
I don't know, 2. I don't know. It was some amount of
I
money.
only buy them if they're one
I
for
think
one.
they were 3. They're $3 each, and so I wanted 4, but then it said they're 10 for $10. And I'm like, they're basically 4. I can't buy 4 because that's $12.
This is such a Doug story because when they're 10 for $10 at our local grocery store, you buy one, it's $1.
Melissa told me that I could have gotten away with that. But anyway, so I'm like, all right.
Gotten away with
I'm like,
that.
all right, well, if I bought 4, it's for me $12, I got to buy 10 now because then it'll go down to $10.
Yeah.
So I was tricked by big Hot Wheels.
You were.
By Mattel.
Mattel tricked me into buying Anyway, one of the Hot Wheels, and one of the reasons I even wanted the 4 in the first place, and I gave a couple to Filippo.
You did.
One of them, a Pontiac Aztek, I think.
I actually have an
XC40
XC40
monster truck.
Yep.
Which is rare. I mean, there's not a lot of those out there. But
Only
one
in
of them
Iceland.
was a Proton Saga. And this is odd to me. I don't know how much of you know about Proton or the Proton brand.
I'm familiar with the Malaysian brand Proton.
Proton is a Malaysian brand who, for decades, maybe still, their only vehicles that they produced were they would buy the tooling from Japanese cars after the Japanese car brand was done making the car, and then they would make the car in Malaysia as a brand new car. So like the '08 Honda Accord was their most famous one. That car ended production in 13. Then Proton was like, all right, we'll buy the tooling. So they came out with the brand new 2014 Proton whatever. Well, it's already a 7-year-old car, but they didn't have to do any development. The Saga was an 80s version of this, and it was a Mitsubishi. I think it was the Mitsubishi Galant or the Precis sold in the US as. I don't remember which. But this is a rebadged Malaysian market former Mitsubishi. Why did Hot Wheels create a version of this car
Let's face
new for 24? What? Why? How did you? Why?
Because they've done every car, so they're running out.
I'm so into this.
I haven't done the Acura ZDX. Anyway, obviously I,
they
bought it.
have.
Maybe that will be number 42 of 250 or
New for
I
24,
understand.
just like in Malaysia. It's also new for 24.
no,
It's a 1980s Mitsubishi. but-
It's based on a version of the Lancer that I'm not sure if it's ever sold here, but it's a compact king, so the ZZX wouldn't fit in.
well, the Lancer, that Gen Lancer, wasn't that Gen
It
Lancer
was
sold here as the
according to
Precis?
Wikipedia, it was the Lancer Fiore.
But wasn't that sold here as the Precis?
I don't know.
Anyway, the point remains unbelievable that they would take
Mirage.
a rebadged Malaysian car
Yeah,
from the 80s.
that's wild.
And sell it as a Hot Wheels. How is this happening?
Who at Mattel got away
Who
with
at
this?
Mattel was like, we're not even going to do the Mitsubishi version.
No,
we're going to do the rebadged Malaysian version.
And if you happen to work for Hot Wheels and decided to do this, please let us know, because I would be very curious on the thought process that arrived at this
But
being
they
produced.
sold one to me, and you know what? I got no regrets, and I would buy another one.
Look
Where
at us,
is
we're
it?
talking about it now.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm keeping mine mint in box
Yeah, you
because it's
should.
cool as hell.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy a second one that I can drive
You
around.
can,
that'd
you
be
can
cool.
drive. Yeah,
That'd be
Good
cool.
driver and one you put in the
Yeah.
garage.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, new and wrapper.
Yep.
Extraordinary.
Can I talk about my
go.
second use?
Yeah.
All right, please move forward one more slide.
Oh God.
What do you think this is?
Well, I know what this is because you said earlier, but it is a pure. I would think that it's a Purosangue.
It's not. It's a Toyota Crown.
It's a Toyota.
So Toyota sells a Crown SUV in other markets, inexplicably not in the US. It is not the same as the Crown Signia that's sold here. It's a different version. It's a Crown SUV.
God.
But there is a new body kit for it that makes it look even more like the Purosangue.
Right now, of course, the Purosangue has suicide doors.
So wait,
Kind of
is this-
big-
Well, there are some other differences.
Is
Yes,
this
the
is this
V12.
the OE version or is this the body?
This is the body kit version. It only changes the front end and the rear end.
The front, to be fair, those are the Toyota headlights.
Those are, but they also are kind of the Purosangue headlights.
So this is a
Pull up a Purosangue.
So Toyota makes a Purosangue.
Yeah, the news story has been around the body kit, but frankly, it's that the Toyota Crown looks like a Purosangue.
Huh.
Like, pull up a Toyota Crown SUV, but you got to be specific about it.
Huh.
Toyota Crown Sport is what it's called.
Oh, I can't.
Oh
type
my
today.
goodness.
It's hard to type. Okay. So
Like, by default, it kind of
Yeah.
looks like a Purosangue.
Yeah, go back, pull back out. Unzoom. All the unzoom there is. Pull up this one, this gray one down here. That does have
Like,
Purosangue
just
in it.
by straight up default, it looks like a Purosangue.
Especially the glass house. Yeah.
And then you add the body kit that fixes the valence and the rear end, and it looks like a Purosangue.
drawback, of course, is that the Purosangue's got a screaming V12, where I assume this has some sort of 1.6 liter hybrid 2-cylinder that gets 84 miles per gallon.
Where's the drawback in this?
Oh my God, that is the Filippo-est
Stick to
Filippo
your-
that ever Filippo.
So if you
Stick
want
to
to
your
look like
GTI.
you have a Purosangue on a budget and you're in Japan where the Crown Sport is sold, here's your option. Here's
Here's
your
your
solution.
option.
Although maybe it's also sold in European markets based on that plate.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
what self-respecting German would do this? That's just
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Well, if you want to look cool, but you have to get a Toyota Crown Sport, so they sell a Crown that isn't the U.S. The Crown Signia is a different Crown SUV overseas.
Good luck making sense. When the Crown sedan, which is sold in the US, pull it up, please, Kenan. Because everybody needs a appreciate the
It's
Toyota
amazing
Crown.
to me that they get away with this many models, especially because the Crown Signia is generally agreed will be a failure, even by Toyota.
No, that looks too good. Yeah, there you go.
Wait, there's a different Crown overseas?
I think there's just some like small differences, but the Crown is like a full lineup for Toyota in Japan and some other markets. They bring the Crown Signia, but not their SUV, despite the fact that that's the hottest selling
Crown Signia
segment.
I actually liked, but like it's not a viable vehicle in this market.
But like when they first came out with the Crown, they said they weren't bringing an SUV over at all. It was just going to be a sedan, which made no sense.
You know, on this subject, this isn't one of my topics, but I want to talk to you about it because it's a big deal. You know, Nissan's coming with a brand new, fully redesigned Murano. In fact, they're bringing it here tomorrow. So I looked up sales. Murano sales peaked at like 80,000 units.
In what, 04?
You know what they did last year?
12.
19. Here's a
That's
company.
actually more than I thought.
And by the way, the new Xterra? Oh no, wait, it's been 13 years. I added this together. And since Nissan canceled the Xterra, Toyota has sold in the United States only 1.1 million 4Runners. That's not an exaggeration. Since the Nissan Xterra was canceled, Toyota sold 1.1 million 4Runners.
They didn't even redesign it once in that time.
They didn't redesign it in that time. And
It's not a joke.
Nissan has sold
Incredibly.
0 Xterras, and they're instead spending the resources to redesign the Murano, of which they sold 19,000
Well,
of
I'm sure
last
that
year.
Ford is trembling in their boots that there's a new Ford Edge competitor.
No, Edge is gone. Dude, this is
There's
the other
still
thing about it.
you're right,
This
there's
is
no
the other
2025
interesting thing. The two-row mid-size segment is down
just
to 3 vehicles.
The
Can you
Outback?
name them? Oh, if you want to call the Outback
which you do,
SUV.
because every comparison test that has ever compared any of them included the Outback,
It's the Murano, the Passport.
the Venza till the last year.
Venza's canceled too. This is the thing.
Right. Well, the Venza's been replaced by the Crown
Every
Signia.
automaker has been like, okay, we either have to cancel or go off-roady or go 3-row. Because the
Oh, the
Santa Fe-
Blazer. Of course.
The Blazer's gone. There's only EV.
No, it still exists.
I really apologize if you're into sports cars. This has been a
Point
brutal
is-
podcast.
No,
for that.
if you're into off-roaders, this is a real topic because the Xterra should still. This just is the most mind-numbingly bad product planning decision I think that has been made since 2000, in the last 25 years.
You know what? There was we talked about the Honda and Nissan merger. You know what Honda is like trying to claim Nissan will be helpful for? Large off-roader SUVs, because they have their Armada and the QX80, and Honda's like, oh, they'll help us be in the development of these very hot
Toyota
vehicles.
has sold 1.1 million 4Runners unanswered by Nissan. And you know what the craziest thing
anybody
about it
else.
is? You know who has the platform? Where does the 4Runner come from? The Tacoma, right? You know who has
Frontier.
the platform? Nissan has the platform
With
to
a
develop
very
this truck.
successful Frontier and the very successful Titan platform that they developed especially for the Titan
And it's like, okay,
20 years ago. But
you're
nonetheless.
sitting there with all the tools. I can't help you anymore. I've made 50 videos about the fact that the Xterra should never have been canceled, and I can't help them anymore.
Yeah.
Instead, they're bringing a Murano here. They sold 19,000.
Why is there a new Murano? Like truly.
It honestly makes no sense to me. I'm sure it'll have a sales bump. They'll sell 30,000 of them, but
No.
Toyota's selling 100,000 4Runners a
you
year.
gotta assume that all 18 and a half of the 19,000 were to Enterprise.
Yeah, a lot of fleet sales. I think the whole thing is absolutely crazy.
Is it a hybrid new Murano?
It's a 4. I can't remember. I just wrote all the stuff down. It's a 4-cylinder now. Okay, let's move on to the market report because we got to get to questions. Market report, brought to you by the Cars and Bids app. To access the market report, you click on the app and then you market report your app.
All
And
right,
then you go to
this is why
app.
from now on I'm in charge. Can we start this off by talking about the Chevrolet SS? Because I want to talk about sports cars for you, Kenan. All right.
What about the SS?
We have at this moment an SS Live with a 6-speed manual. Its bidding is at $27,000 with in the first day. Yesterday, we sold an automatic SS for $23,000.
Yeah.
And in general, automatic SSs are kind of a deal.
What was the mileage?
That's because nobody wants it.
No,
Get
but
the
like-
manual.
Pull up the mileage. Well, I think it actually would be a pretty cool daily because
77,000,
it
one
was like
owner,
a Charger, but
unmodified.
nice.
Right.
But the
they
point-
seem so underappreciated.
This car is often compared to mine, and
Yeah.
because it has an NAV8, a 6-speed manual, and rear-wheel drive.
And 400 horsepower.
But get the 6-speed manual. Well, yeah, a little more.
Did it?
But yeah, I think it's 400 and... Oh, wait, I think the manual has slightly more, 415.
415, some more.
But it weighs more, so you figure it's
Yeah, yeah.
probably pretty similar.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, like, yeah, the manual is what people want.
Yeah, Filippo's point makes sense though. I mean, if you want to daily it like a cool car for
I mean,
$20,000,
23,
it's an
I'd daily a
8-year-old
manual.
car.
yeah, but you don't commute.
Yeah,
No,
but
no.
I've driven that car in LA.
You
I've
can drive a
complained
manual
about
for
it.
your daily commute, but maybe you want a $20,000 Chevy SS. What other
I wouldn't
V8?
commute in a manual if you paid me to do it.
What other? You commute here in a manual almost every day.
I know, but I don't commute. Like the people who commute from
Well,
Escondido.
when I lived in Ohio, it was a 30-minute commute to my office.
On nice sweeping back roads
no,
where your only risk
it was
was
all
a
highway
deer.
and traffic. Every time I'd leave, it was bad. Sugar and Falls people, no.
When I was 20, I would have done it too.
I was younger. Yeah,
I would still do it today. Buying a manual
especially
car.
if it's cheaper.
but it is remarkable to me that the 6-speed ones have held their value.
They have held their value, but like,
And that there's such a big gap.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. But it is an interesting car because it just was malaligned when it came out. People thought it looked way too normal and not
I love it.
sporty enough, which was kind of the appeal.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. That was kind of the appeal.
And
Especially in this era when designs were starting to get
extreme.
a little,
We'll say extreme, but it is interesting that the manual ones really. If you buy a manual one and drive it, you're not going to lose that much on
A
it.
little bit over 20 grand is for a
But for an
LS3
auto.
powered.
There's another
auto.
one here, 21.
That was heavily modified.
Yeah,
which
but the point
yeah,
remains. Like,
right.
These cars are available in the low 20s if you're willing to take
Like
the
what?
This
I
one's
would
crazy.
rather have an SS than a Charger. Certainly.
Yeah, it's a
And I
nicer
can't
car.
think. And I would rather. Would you rather have it than what was the last V8
Oh, I remember
powered
this one.
reasonable BMW? The M5, the F10 M5 is cheaper somehow, but like
with a manual, you're talking
no,
about?
with an automatic.
Well, F90 also
Okay, but
twin
that's-
turbo V8.
yeah, fair.
So is the
These,
current ones
these
are-
have good equipment. They're reliable.
into
They're
it.
good-looking cars. The interiors are actually pretty big.
This one, if you we're looking at this burgundy one that we sold in 2020. I remember this startup video because this thing is cammed
this
at
is heavily
719
modified.
horsepower. This one will put it hair on your chest. No, it's
Right.
Yeah, it is.
Not surprised to see an Arizona license plate on that car.
No, I remember. I think I wrote that one or edited that one. I can't recall exactly which, but I remember it very well. Nonetheless,
Feels like a deal.
It is a
I'm
deal.
surprised by how cheap it is.
The sticks though are really holding their value.
Yeah, so if you
I
want-
would
I
be
mean-
I would be curious what the sticker was.
how many
on
miles
this
does this
car.
one have? I mean, it's almost 60,000.
It's
It's a $20,000 gap.
What was sticker, Filippo, on one of these?
That's-
This
I-
car
well,
sold for
here,
42.
I'll tell
I
you.
mean, I know there's inflation, but I can't imagine the differences.
Boom. Sticker was 49,
49.
470. Yeah.
What other GM
mean, yeah.
product?
Right.
You walk into a Chevy dealer in 16, every other one of those cars is currently traded in $11 and a fish fillet.
Having spent a lot of time looking at C7s, a 6-speed manual 2016 C7 with that miles is a 35 car.
Yeah.
So the autos just seem like kind of a deal.
The autos are deals if you want just a cool car and you want a daily commute and you're not necessarily looking for the fun of the manual or paying up for the manual.
If you're going to
It's
buy a
still the
Charger,
628.
But if you want to buy one of these and you want to hold it value, get the manual.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
100%.
I think that's the other
Yeah.
conversation point here is that if you get a stake, you can probably get in and out of it without really losing any money, and they're probably reliable.
But again, that's our mentality is cost of ownership.
Right.
His mentality is
cost of purchase.
just
I'm
cost of purchase.
23 grand?
optimized for both this time.
All right, Kenan, give us some market reports.
So we had an interesting sale recently. So we sold a Boxster Spyder RS,
Yep.
which is an incredibly desirable car.
Yep.
But this one, this one's nicely optioned. 37 miles to start, but it had Visoc package.
Yep. Good
Finished in
color.
kind of an interesting color combination. Sold for $221, which was not far off its MSRP.
Yeah,
These
I
cars
think
are,
I looked at the sticker was like 217, right?
yeah, I think so. This is a minimum,
Yeah.
but still 217 was the sticker. So it's like pretty close to what they've come down. You're not paying, 50 grand over sticker to get one of these.
I have noticed this also on certain other sites. I have noticed it also for GT4 RS.
Yep. Others have too.
Everybody thought this would be like the hottest, like flippers Porsche ever. Like it was going to be like 2x MSRP. Then they made a lot of them.
Yeah.
How many did they
It's
make?
not a limited production.
It's not
car.
limited. They're
Limited.
still making them. So
And
how many you got?
obviously the Boxster Spyder RS came out for 24, but the GT4 RS came out 23.
Maybe it was.
But
maybe
it was
a
less.
year
They've
earlier.
been around for a bit now.
They've been around. Used ones are available. They're pretty easy to find. My understanding is allocations are not incredibly hard to get.
Yes, I've heard that. I've heard, and for 4RS, same thing. I've heard if you can get one, just be a little patient, it'll show up.
Which, by the way, I think is kind of a cool thing about this car. Another cool thing about this car that it's not such a, like the 911 ST is a god car that we're never going to be able to own or drive or see. But like this car, there's at least a couple of these and the coupes that come to Cars and Coffee every week. Like this is an available car. It's expensive, but it's not 2x sticker and people are going to hold them in their garage and never take them
Which
out.
is maybe the curse of the Boxster a little bit.
Well, I think
If you're thinking about it as a collector.
Yeah, you wouldn't buy this if you were thinking about it as a collector, though. Porsche priced it high, and there's no cap on numbers.
Exactly, and it's a tip. If they had done a limited version of it with a manual, and like there would be a car that people would be
If
paying.
there
$50
was a
over.
stick of this,
Oh man, it'd be the best. I still think this
It's hard
is
not to buy it.
Yeah, one of the best modern sports cars currently in production. I would say in its current state, but with a stick, it probably you could argue it was an best. The ST is probably better, but like I mean, it's a very special car regardless.
Yeah, double the price.
But nonetheless,
Triple the price?
an interesting result. I was
we're
a
down a sticker.
little surprised even. I thought I would go for a little bit more than sticker, but turns out not so.
That's where they are. You had an R230 SL55 point as well.
Oh yes.
Oh, man,
so
what a
we talked about this on our live now
Yeah, we did.
segment, and this SL55 R230 03 sold for 12 G's.
What was the mileage?
83.7. So high
That's just what
mileage,
these
and not
are.
the best color combo, silver with a gray interior.
Yeah,
but
deep
that is,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a 463 horsepower, right? Yeah, 493 horsepower,
Yeah.
516 foot-pounds of torque. A seriously fast car.
They look good too.
I personally agree.
And-
That rear view, like we talked about, that view, the
Yep.
rear view of it looks so wide and
And a reliable
powertrain. Yes, that you can, if you wanted to modify, you can, and it's still reliable.
The older Mercedes have this reputation for being unreliable, which has dogged all their resale values. But if you know the few diamonds in the rough that are reliable, you can make a really good buy. You're right about this car. I didn't really think that much about it, but this is a reliable 500. How many reliable 500 horsepower cars exist? Number one. Number two, for 12 grand. Go back to the list of the sales.
Yeah. So look
Did
at
any sell with those wheels that I love? Those million spokes. Oh,
the million spokes. This one for 20. Yeah, look at
that wheel. If I showed up at Filippo's house with that wheel,
You've already fired his father, and you've given yourself a bonus. But
oh, there it is.
no, but I mean, so many of them are
Filippo would say, you know what? I'll do it.
10, 13,
This is
15.
10. This is 10 with those wheels?
Yep.
Yeah.
They're bargains.
14.
I think people are scared about reliability. Even if people misunderstand the engine, and there are others, it's
not
costly
the-
to maintain.
It's not the
ABC
engine.
is costly.
Right. It's not the engine
stuff's
that's
costly.
expensive. It's the suspension.
To be clear, there are issues. The car is not free to own. It's not like a
And the top.
Toyota. But it's also not incredibly
No, it's not.
unreliably expensive. Like,
No.
the car's 12 grand. I mean, I can't believe what these are selling for.
I know. It's
I
a
know.
good deal.
That's a serious bargain. Like,
It's also, it's the kind of car, like that 07 with the red interior, that's the
know.
kind of car you pull up in front of somebody's house, they're like, damn, that's a cool car, not knowing that you bought it for like the price of a Dodge Dart. I mean, look at this. This is a cool looking car.
more than a dart, sure.
Right,
If you put on
you
those
put the cap
things-
again,
Yeah, gotta put on the.
and the
fix
hood ornament,
the-
there's a few things
and
this
maybe
one needs.
lower
That's
it
not
back to
perfect.
stock.
But it was 14.
Well,
It was 14. For 20, you'd
But I
be
like-
in that car
I
perfect.
still like this one for 12. I
Yeah,
mean, that's just
what a bargain.
what a
of car.
bargain. Yeah.
To be
Such a
fair,
cool car.
every 03 Mercedes kind of is a bargain fundamentally.
Well, there aren't a lot of
generally-
good ones.
Well, the
Yeah.
E55 is also from this era.
E55.
The cool thing about the SL is it was like a beautiful flagship. I wouldn't call it a sports car, but a sport touring, real car.
Kind of as close as Mercedes-Benz came at the time. So they don't really build sports cars much, but
The SLR.
Yeah, we're gonna stand by what we
McLaren
said here.
built the SLR.
Oh, damn! Wow.
It was built in Woking. There are pictures of it in the McLaren factory.
What about the SL50? What about the SLK? You don't have any respect for the SLK.
SLK? No.
No, but you're right. I mean,
But you know what I'm saying. I mean, the Mercedes-Benz is not known for that. But this car, again, if you are thinking about buying a sport, or if you're thinking about buying a convertible and you want a German luxury car with real power, I mean, this is a serious
what do
bargain.
what do the 65s go for? More. What do the 600s go for?
Not that much more.
600?
You got to move
know.
AMG.
Oh, right. The 65s, depending on mileage, bring big money.
Oh, 600s are like the same. But I don't know anything about that motor. I don't know if that motor is as reliable. I know the M113, the blown M113K, is a pretty reliable engine. The V12 could be. I don't know.
The 65s are
23 for that one? Can I have
Yep.
that one? Click on that.
Yeah, you can.
Can I buy this car, or is it sold?
I mean, it has sold
92,000.
6 months ago, 7 months ago, but
I know a couple of people who bought these cars, not new, but not far off, drove them to 100,000 miles, bought another one, drove that to 100,000 miles
What's
too.
the mileage on this?
This one's almost at 100,000 miles. I mean,
It's a cool car.
granted, if there are certain parts of the engine that they do need service, the high price of something that can total the car is just worth more than the car is. But,
That happens.
But I mean, look at the
there's incredibly cool cars.
738 foot-pounds of torque.
By the way,
could have been you,
be-
Filippo.
before we start saying bad things about the SLK, the 03 available with the stick. We actually have one live right now.
That's
Fun
true.
fact.
Okay, finally, time for your questions. Questions. Brought to you by the Cars and Bids Market Report.
If you have a question,
Go to carsandbids.com, the community tab. There will be a post there that says, ask your questions, and we will answer the highest upvoted questions, no matter how stupid. Okay? You can ask the dumbest question in the world, and we'll answer it. And the first question, speaking of, comes from Kennan's girlfriend, is the name of the user.
Emily?
We haven't heard a lot from Emily lately. How's she doing?
She's great.
Yeah.
Dad was very excited about January 6th recently.
Oh, the anniversary. I bet he's really excited about January 20.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all right. What's Emily? I don't know.
Kennan's girlfriend says, do you think we choose cars we buy based off others people's opinions too much? Some cars could be truly fun to drive, but we don't buy because of bad associations. Like the guy saying, I love that F650 video you did. I would love to have one, but everyone will assume I'm terrible. That's true. And yeah, there's definitely cars I've bailed on because I don't want to be associated with the type of person who owns them.
Yeah, it's a pressure. I mean, I can think of a number right off the bat. The previous generation C63 with the V8. The C63. Right. I mean, that car, I love that car, but it has a reputation by being driven by people who aren't particularly kind.
The V8 C63s, the nice ones that remain stock, of which there are 11, were driven by serious people. The remainder all got on like black wheels with mismatched thin Chinese tires with like neons and tinted taillights, and it's like a scary situation.
Yeah, and which is a shame because I've drove that car stock when it came out. Wonderful car to drive. It's just the image that goes along with that. I agree. Actually, here is like it's exactly that. Also, the same thing I said about like Mustang GT350. Love that car to death. Think it's so cool.
You think the GT350 has a bad
I
image?
have no...
I feel
In
like
San Diego, yeah. You're just a military guy who just recently got paid a bunch of money, went and financed everything that you possibly could to PenFed, and you bought that car.
GT.
And then you do rollouts, burnouts, and then you have to...
A GT350 has no reputation in my mind.
I think the 350 is more a little bit more connoisseur-y, whereas the regular Mustang is more up your alley.
Challenger,
and Charger
Scat
and
Pack,
Challenger.
Well, not
too.
up my alley, to be clear.
No,
More
up
in that
the alley
vein.
of what you're saying.
In that vein,
the Challenger Charger kind of the same deal. Like that's what I would assume.
Yeah. And actually, there's also pressure. I would say NA Miata gets a lot of people thought it was too feminine, too like girly or whatever.
And now
but
it's
drives
a bunch
brilliantly.
of like vape stoner kids.
Yeah, exactly. All Subarus. But there's definitely external pressure there. There's definitely. I don't know if it's precluded me from buying a car that I like, really. But yeah,
Filippo is immune apparently. Doesn't bother him.
Yeah. I mean,
he only ever buys.
Well, it's because he only ever buys boring cars that don't offend anybody.
Okay, next question from Tom Tinker. Question for Doug. It's clear that you listen to more music than anyone else on the planet. That being said, what cars have the best sound systems? And do you ever add/replace speakers or subs to used cars? You know, I get asked a lot, why don't I review sound systems in the cars where I do the reviews? It's because of the royalties. All the greedy musicians want to be paid.
I've never met anybody that cares less about how their audio sounds than you.
Yeah, don't care.
He just has to be listening to something.
I love music, but I just did a huge renovation in my house, and we didn't put in any smart speakers or anything. I use that portable Bluetooth speaker.
And I have better speakers than you do, and I'm me.
I love music. The exactitude of the sound, I don't think it's like when new tires. I got new tires to the Carrera GT. They're the same. I mean, they're exactly the same. If Kenan was driving the car, I'd be like, wow, the precise feel and the blah, 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 blah. I don't
It's what you want to hear from America's favorite car reviewer.
I don't distinguish. I'm not wrong. And honestly, if people were honest with themselves, they would say the same thing. You get all these people being like, the car, I got it back from the tire place. It's so much better.
Well,
and it's like, no.
When tires are worn out and you put new tires on.
When tires are bad or old, especially, or worn out.
Or if you're
Makes
going
a
from
big
like
difference.
KO2s to all seasons.
Which, let's be fair, that's mostly when people
But I went from Pilot Sports to Pilot Sport Cups, new to new, essentially.
Well, I'll tell you, the only people who notice you change them are the people behind you because you throw away more rocks because they're much more sticky.
That's my goal.
Which is a shame because being behind the Carrera GT is where you want to be. Listen to that sound.
Next question from Cars Lover 365. Guys, what's your apocalyptic car choice?
There's only one choice.
Interesting.
5th Gen 4Runner.
No, I was going to say a Raptor.
Cayenne?
No, I said kinda.
Oh,
I
5th Gen 4Runner.
was going to say Raptor.
Cayenne would be great.
5th Gen 4Runner.
A
5th Gen was
first
the
gen Raptor.
answer. The official Cars and Bids answer to this question is a 5th Gen 4Runner.
First gen Raptor.
70 Series Land Cruiser.
Oh, that old thing you get.
Yeah.
What if the apocalypse includes a side impact?
There'll be nobody around. I can go very far away and not have to worry, and I can get back.
Can I posit something? The 5th gen 4Runner is the 70 series Land Cruiser.
The difference is the 70 series Land Cruiser, you can fix it with literally a mallet.
Dude, the 5th gen 4Runner, like, it's got halogen lights and you start it with a key and
well, exactly. I start mine with a spoon. It's even easier.
To make it stop, you reach your leg down into the car and drag it on the ground.
The 70 series is one of the least complicated cars there is.
Okay, but the everybody who complains about how the 70 series is never sold in the US should just get a 5th gen 4Runner. That's the 70 series. It's not quite as simple, but it's close. It's a lot safer.
I don't know. I almost got we almost got stranded in the 70 series in Africa when I was there, and like it was so easy to fix and simple to fix. It was great.
I'm just gonna say this. Filippo and I, one time in Laos, almost got stranded. We had a 5th gen 4Runner.
We were good.
We were in the rice fields.
We didn't even get stranded. We had a 5th gen 4Runner.
I was in Botswana.
Well, we almost got stranded in the sense that we were in Laos up to our necks in water.
Yeah, but
we
you got
almost
out.
Get stranded.
I've gone through water up to my neck in a
Listen, when we are driving around in Windhoek and we go out into the desert, we take our 5th gen 4Runner.
I take my
I'm
1st
sticking
gen
with
Raptor.
the 70.
I can't believe 1st gen Raptor.
You want a little bit more capability?
Okay, this is a great question. We're going to do 2 more. This is a great question, the finest question I've been asked today by anybody.
Wow.
From Hammond, you idiot. What MotorTrend Car of the Year winners throughout history are the most and least deserving? I'm going to pull up a list because MotorTrend Car of the Year, and by the way, I love and respect MotorTrend as a publication. I truly do. They generally have a tendency to award Car of the Year to some of the worst cars you could imagine. I'll give you some examples. In 2001, the esteemed Chrysler PT Cruiser.
That one I support. That's
in 2002,
a big deal.
The esteemed Ford Thunderbird, which I believe they sold 47 of and lasted for 1 generation. The 2007 Toyota Camry, a notable redesign for the car.
It had that blue HVAC dial background.
The 1997 Chevy Malibu.
It was that's bad.
That was exaggeratedly bad. The 2012 Volkswagen Passat, notably terrible car.
New midsize sedan.
The 2017 Chevy Bolt EV. There was hype around that car for an afternoon. This is almost reads like a list. 2000, the Lincoln LS. It almost reads like a list of the biggest automotive failures in the last 25 years.
Can I say 2 things? First of all, 2023 was the G90 Genesis.
Well, okay, so what happened in recent years, to be perfectly fair to MotorTrend, is that new cars have stopped coming out, and so they've basically just awarded it to any new car.
But they have awarded the 2025 one already.
It went to the E-Class.
Yeah, 2025. It's January.
Well,
there are still 2025 model year cars coming out.
We're looking ahead.
The Malibu is the 1995.
I want to be clear also about one thing with MotorTrend Car of the Year.
The Chrysler Cirrus.
I want to be clear. Yeah, the Cloud Cars one. I want to be clear also with one important thing about MotorTrend Car of the Year. Until 2000, they split American Car of the Year and Import Car of the Year, and they did that because they knew that if they let them all compete, American cars would never win. So Car of the Year was an American car, and then there was Import Car of the Year, which was different. Now they combined them for 2001. And the winner of that esteemed year was the PT Cruiser, followed by the Thunderbird. It wasn't until 2003 that an import won. I will never forget when they awarded it to the 2003 Infiniti G35, which was correct.
Yep.
Perhaps their only correct award.
Well, 1995, I just thought the F50 was better than
No, they have a price cut. They won't award it to cars like that.
Which, by the way, is a lot of cars now.
The import car of the year, by the way, wasn't exactly better. Some of their choices.
You know what? That's almost like a cash for clunkers list is kind of what that feels like, to be honest with you.
Oh man. First off, in import car of the year, they didn't award it for many years throughout the 70s. They just didn't feel it was necessary. The new Beetle won in 99. That was an esteemed automobile.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I stand by all of these. Just that seems reasonable.
The imports are better, but they're almost all sports cars. Julia won in 18, by the way. There's another.
For some reason, what I find interesting is sometimes they want to change their minds. For example, in 1985, the GTI was the car of the year because it was built at Volkswagen Pennsylvania plant. But in 94, the Accord was the import car of the year, but it was built in Ohio.
Right. Look, there are some interesting cars on this list. Almost all of them are bad. The 2010 Ford Fusion, wasn't that just a facelift?
No, it was.
Wasn't that just the facelifted first gen Fusion? But they've rewarded it to the E-Class twice in the last 5 years.
It was the facelift.
It was the
face,
facelift,
which
by
was
the
a
way,
good facelift.
It was a good
Looked like a razor in the front.
They put Gallardo wheels on it. Remember that? Pull up the 2010 Fusion. Let's look at the Gallardo wheels.
Also,
Anyway,
look
the
at
answer
the
answer to the question asked by Hammond U88 is
2010.
there was never a most deserving. There have been many least deserving. I will say I am proud that in 13 they gave it to the Model S, which was the right choice.
That's a good looking
Pull
car.
up the Gallardo wheels. Pull up
It
the
is a
Gallardo
great
wheels.
looking
That's
car.
the Gallardo wheels right there. That's that gray one.
That one. Yeah.
Look at that. Look at those Gallardo wheels.
They are Gallardo wheels. I don't even. We all agree.
No, there aren't too many pictures.
There
of
it is.
the
Hard to find a
Gallardo
good
wheels,
photo,
but that's it.
Yep.
Gallardo wheels.
Okay.
The
Anyway,
300M in 1988 was obviously the winner.
I mean, just
The
bad
Lincoln LS was good when it came
after
out.
bad award. Final question from Snob, SNAAB, Snob. People
good
always jokingly comment on your videos that when you review something, it increases in value. Has this ever actually happened? No.
Trusting the thing exception says.
No. People are always like, oh, Doug reviewed it, so now it's lost. I don't have that poll. Nobody really
I think
does.
the Maserati MC12. You reviewed it up.
MC12. No, there are a few exceptions. I do think I increased Vector W8 prices a little bit. I'm dead serious about that. G-Wagon Cabrio, I think, had a huge increase after I bought one. I think I just raised awareness about it. I
Yeah.
don't think people knew about it before. But otherwise, no. People already know about all these cars. I go up and say, oh, such and such is a great value. I mean, it doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
Check the prices. They don't change. It's like, oh, there's more people aware. Not really. Well, 600,000 people watch my video. Half of them are out of the U.S. You don't have to worry about this. You're good.
I think there are probably new cars where you reviewed it and it increased demand.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt that new cars, some of my videos for new cars have sold cars.
Not because you're like trying to sell cars, because people want to know information.
They want to know
You give them information like, oh yeah, this fits my need, and
Absolutely.
Do you
People come up to me all the time on the street and say, I bought this car because of you. It happens almost every
probably
day.
killed.
Do you
some
think the
sales.
opposite is true?
Yes.
So some cars you reviewed and interest went down?
You think I had an effect,
Negative
negative effect on the Maserati Ghibli?
This is the first car I thought of, but no, it's just a bad car.
It was a bad car. It would have happened regardless. It was trash. Okay. That's our pod. Filippo, you got anything to add?
Yeah, check out the Cars and Bits app.
Wow, we're still pushing the app. Damn.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, go on the app. The app's got all sorts of appy things.
Yeah, it's
Anyway,
great.
goodbye, everyone. Lovely podcast. One of our best ever.
Goodbye.